Hello, good evening. Welcome to Every Piece of Me Matter. I'm your host, Cindy Holden. I'm here. I'm shouting out all of my Friday Night Cafe Girl Chat sisters. Where y'all at? Where are you at? I'm looking for you. Come on through. Y'all been asking. I told you where I am these days. So once a week, typically on a Wednesday evening, I show up and give a word, a phrase, a quote, or something in hopes that it will inspire women who are ready to embrace every piece of themselves. And so this is a safe space. I'm here, you're here, and I'm glad that you're here. So we're going to dive in tonight. I'm going to ask you if you will do something with me. If you've been following along, you already know what that is. Come on, sis. Take a breath with me. Or maybe it's a bro that's watching. Come on. The invitation is open and extended. Take a breath with me. There's no special way to do it. Just do it. I'm going to count to 3. I might do it real fast. And then you can take your breath. All right? I'm ready. You ready? Let's go. 1, 2, 3. Ooh, my shoulders is already down because I done had about 20 breaths. I had a head start. I'm telling you, this is like the second week in a row. It's been a long week already, but it's been a good week, right? I'm grateful to be here and to be moving and breathing. That's my testimony today. I am moving and breathing. So tonight's episode is going to be, I guess you could say it's a part 2, a follow-up. Still talking about transition, right? Talking about when shift happens. That was last week. Tonight, I want to move a little through the shift. So it's moving through the shift. If you missed last week's episode, I would encourage you to go on back and take a look-see. As the old folk used to say, take a look-see. We talked about when shift happens, being in transition. That's one of the synonyms, the words, another word for transition is shift. So when the shift happens, when you're moving from one place to the other, that can be literally or figuratively, right? A state of mind, a state of being. So take a look back. Last week, that's the beauty of having a replay. So if you didn't catch it live, you can go back and get the replay. And while you're at it, all right, I'm going to say this. I haven't said it in a while. If you are gaining something, whatever it is, right? I'm going to mind my business, right? I ain't going to ask you what it is. But if you want to tell me or tell us, you can put it in the comments. In addition to that, please like and subscribe, right? Share, like, subscribe with someone else who can also benefit from this information. It just helps to get the message out. For me, if it's just one person that stops by and they take something away for themselves, then guess what? I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to do. So just a little reminder, hit that like, share it, and then subscribe. Make sure you pass it on. That's the share piece. So again, tonight we're talking about moving through the transition. How do you move through the transition? You know, I'm always going through the how-to. Like, I get really curious and start asking questions. Well, if you're not asking me, I'm going to encourage you to just sit tight. I actually took some notes. I wrote some stuff down because I want to make sure that I get it in here. I'm, I speak from the heart, and so the heart. Speak from some experience, and so I wrote some stuff down just for the sake of wanting to get this point across. So moving through the shift. Here's something that I like to start with. You know, I love words, not just to speak words. I like that too. But I like finding out the origin, right? The beginning of the words, the different, let's say, synonyms, right? That goes way back to school. Other words that are spelled differently, but they have very similar, they mean the same. Right? But it lends a different perspective depending on the context that you use it in. So not only using words in context and gaining understand them, right? But making sure that the content of what you're saying, it makes sense. So that's all I'm gonna say about that, right? So tonight, as we talk about moving through clarity, I want to invite you to consider this, right? What does it look like? What is clarity? That's where I want to start. What is clarity? So, y'all know this is what I do. There are some dictionaries, Merriam, Oxford. I'm sure there's some more, but that's typically the dictionaries that I look through. And again, because I am a person of faith, I want to look and see what like the biblical dictionary is, or you know, some spiritual connotation. So I'm doing my research. I'm encouraging you to do the same too. Don't have to just take my word for it. Hopefully this will motivate or inspire you in some way, that you'll go check it out for yourself and see what you come up with. Some other type of revelation that will speak to you personally. So moving through the shift, right? Here's the first concept, and I don't know if I'm going to get through, it's 3 that came to mind. I don't know if I'm going to get through all 3 tonight, but I'm going to start with 1, clarity. Moving through the shift, moving through the transition with clarity. What transition? I don't know what your situation is, but I know what my situation is. I know what my shift is, right? I'm going through a shift. I'm going through a transition. And one thing that I can honestly say, right, because I'm nosy, I'm inquisitive, curious. I want to know all the details. But sometimes you don't have all the details when things are shifting, when things are transitioning, when there is a change from one place to another, whether it's in career, your day-to-day life, relationship, wherever the shift is happening, wherever the change is taking place, it can be a lot, but I can honestly say that I have peace in the midst of my transition, in the midst of my shift. So when shift happens, you can move through the shift. I'm here to be a witness. You can move through with clarity. What is clarity? I'm going to tell you what it is. Clarity is the quality. I like what that starts with. Not just any old way, but it is the quality of being coherent, right? I'm about my wits. I'm about my right mind. So it's being coherent and intelligent. Right? I ain't talking about Einstein, or it can be that too, you know. There's some intelligence, and I'm coherent. I'm about my right wits. I'm moving specifically in a certain way. Even though I don't have all the details, right? I can still have some clarity. So I'm going to tell you what some signs, or what the lack of clarity looks like. With the lack of, here's our definition, the lack of being coherent, right? Quality, not just, you know, half-witted, right? But it's the quality of being coherent and intelligent. There's also transparency and clarity, like crystal clear. I can see clearly now, the rain is gone. I can see all obstacles in my way. All right, let me pull that back in. Sometimes I get a little singing spirit, right? But with clarity, right, there comes transparency, and there's a purity. Yeah, a clearness. And then there's another part of the definition that really spoke to me. I like things that speak to me or resonate with me in some way. With clarity, it is a quality of seeing and hearing clearly. I'll say that again. The quality of seeing and hearing clearly. There's a sharpness, like crystal clear. We're talking about clarity. There's a sharpness of the image, right? There's a sharpness of the image. So it's talking about the visual, the vision, what you see, and there's a sharpness of sound. Clarity, yeah. So moving through the shift, moving through the change, moving through the transition, there's some action. Things are happening. Things are being shaken up. And if I'm going back to last week, it doesn't have to be negative. Shift, transition, it does not have to be negative. Sometimes it feels that way because of some of the emotions that are connected with that. The uncertainty, not knowing, you know, especially we people who just want to know, who just got to know. And so moving through the shift with clarity, it requires something. It requires something from us. So now that I've shared with you what clarity is, right? How about we take a look at the lack of clarity? I just want to give you a little bit about the lack of clarity. So let me find that space in here. When we lack clarity, here's some of the things that show up. There's confusion, self-doubt, misalignment, there's a constant questioning, a persistent feelings of being overwhelmed or stuck. So I know I say this every week, it's so true. In the work that I do, people come, you know, to me, and that's one of the things that they talk about. Hey, listen, I feel overwhelmed at times. There are times where I have felt stuck or in a rut. And so typically when that those feelings or really those emotions are there, we're talking about the lack of clarity, the lack of direction. Yeah. And so clarity is important to move through the shift, to move through any change. Perhaps you're going through some type of life transition, some life-changing event. That's a shift. It's a transition. It could be, you know, and I know I said it's not always negative. Sometimes there are other emotions, right? Sadness. Sometimes there's a fear or even anger. You know, the shift of going through the loss. You know, and that loss can be of a relationship. Doesn't have to always be romantic. It can be the loss of a job, the loss of a loved one. And so shift happens. Change, transition, it happens. But one of the things that will help you to move through the shift is clarity. That quality, right? We're talking about quality of being coherent. Right? I'm in my right mind. I'm alert. I'm aware. And I can move, even though I don't have all the details, I can move with intelligence. Why? Because I'm grounding myself. Again, you got to go back to last week to get some tips on how to ground yourself. So I'm grounding myself. I spoke about, you know, me being a person of faith and how my belief, you know, in the Lord Jesus Christ, God my Father and the Holy Spirit lead and guide me. And so that spiritual part of me, my faith, helps me to get through change in a lot of different ways. You know, being full, or should I say reading the Word, right, through prayer, through meditation. And so what helps you to get grounded? I'm touching on that because I think it's so important. Being able to silence the noise, right? The external noise, the external chaos, but most importantly, that internal dialogue. Those things, when I say those things, whether it's feelings or thoughts, or sometimes it's just acting out, just the behavior of not knowing, the uncertainty, so quieting yourself. David said, "Oh my soul, why art thou disquieted within?" Right? We talked about soul care several weeks ago. And so in the midst of the shift, the transition, clarity, that quality, right, of being coherent, being in your right mind. You may not know exactly where you're going, but through grounding yourself, right, and through gaining clarity, you can. And so, all right, we talked about some signs, and it's not an inclusive list, right? But this is something to build a foundation, and you can grow and develop that. Lack, that self-doubt, the hesitation, confusion, right? Misalignment. These are some signs of the lack of clarity. And so those persistent feelings, this comes up quite a bit, persistent feelings of I'm overwhelmed or I'm stuck. It's like cycles. Jonathan McReynolds, shout out, he has a wonderful song that just blessed my soul that talks about cycles. It's like I'm going around and round and round. I forget I don't know who the author is, the artist is, but you got me going in circles. Round and around I go. It's like I'm on that, the gerbil wheel, and I'm going round and around. You know what those cycles and patterns are? Listen, this is a judgment-free zone. There's no criticism here, right? I have cycles, you have cycles, we all have our cycles, but the goal, right, when you are going through the transition, when you're going through change, being quiet, being silent, being in that place of solitude, giving yourself permission to quiet the noise so that you can hear clearly, so that you can see clearly. We're talking about clarity. There are a few other things that I want to share with you about clarity. So I'm trying to make sure I get it in. I don't want to keep you too long. But in clarity, right, there's a wisdom. Yes, there's a wisdom, there's peace, and certainly there's your faith. What do you believe in? What do you know to be true? Even if you don't have all the details. What informs you? What is it that leads and guides you? There is a scripture that says God is not the author of confusion. His desire for us is to be in alignment. Alignment with what? Alignment with Him. That's a oneness, and in alignment with ourselves. And it's possible. I feel stuck sometimes. I feel overwhelmed sometimes. But being still in that place of solitude, through reading, and I love to read, and there are a lot of different things that I read to get information along with the Bible, and in the quietness through prayer and meditation, and sometimes again, it doesn't take forever. I'm talking about keeping it simple, it's not 10 steps to this and 5 steps to get that. Sometimes it's just shh, shh, shh. Be quiet. Sit still. There is no need for you to say anything in this very moment. And even that moment where I'm in the presence of God. Because guess what? He is in me and I am in Him, and we are one. And so sitting silent to gain clear, that quality of clear, crystal clear hearing and seeing, where I can get direction while I'm in the midst of the shift. I'm in the midst of the transition. And with that comes the wisdom and the peace. Yeah. And my faith is what's informing me, my faith and my belief and my trust. It even helps to shape my perspective, how I see things. We're talking about clarity, because sometimes I could be full of myself and my thoughts and my way and what I want and what I say. You know how we say, I'm going to tell my truth. Okay, so after I get finished telling my truth, guess what? I got to check my truth with the truth. Yeah, it sounds like a play on words, but it is real. It is so real. And so coming back to moving through the shift, moving through the transition, moving through the change with clarity, making it a priority. Clarity can help to restore peace. Again, it can also help you to, let's say, come into alignment with the plan, the alignment with the vision. The vision doesn't have to change necessarily just because you're in transition, right? I know that there are quite a few things that have been assigned to my hands. I've been on different assignments, and the majority of the work is working with women, again, who have that desire to be, they're coming to be, I like saying it that way, they are becoming, right, exactly who they were created and purposed and designed to be. And so in working with myself, in working with women who are ready to embrace every part, every piece of themselves. Why? Because it matters. It matters to God. And certainly it can matter and make a difference in getting that clarity, because I'm getting clear about me. I can be transparent with me. It's one thing to desire to be heard and seen and loved and cared for by others. Nothing wrong with that. But the power that rests in me knowing me seeing me hearing me, to the point where I can make the distinction. I know the voice of my Creator. Why? Because He is within me. I know when I'm out of alignment. I know when I lack clarity. And I know how to get in the place of hearing and seeing and gaining that the mindset, if you will, that cohesiveness, that clear, crystal clear voice that leads and guides me and instructs me through the change, through the shift. Yeah, shift can be a lot. It can be very overwhelming. But as I share this with you, and it's from an I perspective, going through this particular transition in my life, with the peace that I have, again, although things are still unfolding, I know that I am in a good place. How do I know that I'm in a good place? I have clarity, right? I have a coherence. I have that intelligence, because I'm working. I'm not just sitting there just rocking back and forth, and there has been self-doubt, right? And keyword self-doubt, because I'm thinking about, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? forgetting about. Here's clarity, here's the wisdom to remind me, you are not in this alone, Cynthia. So again, with care and compassion, that's going to be next week. With care and compassion, embracing the parts of myself that may have some doubt or have fear. I don't have to call that a bad part, right? But what I can do is I can have the awareness that I am doubting, the awareness that I am afraid, the awareness that I'm experiencing these feelings and these emotions. And what can I do? I can gain clarity through grounding myself in prayer, meditation, through the word, and keeping it simple. Resting. Sometimes it's just sitting down in silence, saying and doing nothing. And I can get up and feel refreshed and say, you know what? Such a thing. It's like I can see it crystal clear because the confusion has lifted, the fog has lifted. I've gained clarity and I can continue to move through the shift. So I have a couple more things that I want to share with you about clarity, how we can prioritize seeking clarity. If you lack it, right? If you lack clarity, that wisdom and the other things that go along with it, right? There's a remedy for it. Ask and it shall be given, right? Seek and you will find, knock and the door will be open to you. So when it comes to clarity, right? Here's is the thought. I'm just going to read it as I wrote it. It says, when a person has clarity, their thoughts and perceptions are free from confusion. I'll say that again. When a person has clarity, their thoughts and their perceptions, the way I see things, the way I view things, right? They are free from confusion or any type of ambiguity, right? It's crystal clear. And so that is the goal one of the goals when you're going through transition. Having a sharp, organized, and an understanding of a situation, right, is one of the things that clarity brings. So you're having that sharp, that crystal clear, you're organizing, and you're gaining that understanding. Even if you don't understand it all, right? It's about growth and development. I can gain understanding in sitting with myself, and sitting through prayer and meditation and grounding. I can get crystal clear about what? Girl, you know you feeling some kind of way, right? I can manage my own emotions. Yes, I can take it to God in prayer, but listen, when I get up, my grandmama used to say it like this, you got to put some feet to your prayer. And I'm learning as I continue to mature. Listen, faith without works is dead, right? They go hand in hand. So I am responsible for managing my emotions. Yes, I might be afraid. Fear may come up and say, well, what I was going to do? I don't know where I'm going. I don't understand. I don't know what's going on. Sit down. Be still. And get some clarity. Hey, sis, I mean that in a way that comes through with love and compassion. Sit still. Get the clarity that you need. It will help you to get unstuck, to not feel so overwhelmed. You can gain wisdom and direction, and you can know where you're going to. or at least in the midst of going to, you can go through the transition, you can go through, you can move through the shift with clarity. And there's one more thing that I wanted to read, and then we're going to wrap it up for tonight. Let's see. Yes, I want to say this again. So gaining that sharp, crystal clear ability to understand, to organize, to deal with your own emotions, and to allow yourself to make decisive, right, decisions. No confusion, right? To be confident and to make choices. We're talking about a mental focus. In this day and time, it's needed. It is needed. There is so much. I'm not even going to get into all that because you already know, all right? But to have a mental focus where my mind is made up, I'm on my way up. Okay, let me bring that back in. The mind made up part, the mental focus, right? I'm crystal clear, I'm laser sharp, I'm focused. God, I know you got me in the midst of this transition. And not only the mental focus being sharp, that brain fog is gone. I'm not like, what the day is. I have an awareness, a self-awareness that everything's gonna be all right. Everything's gonna be all right. I know y'all just gotta forgive me today. I just gotta sing in spirit, right? But clarity brings about a sharp mental focus, and it increases your awareness of self, because that's important. So I think that's all I want to say tonight. Yeah, I'm going to leave it right there for tonight. So tonight we talked about moving through the shift with clarity. What do you think? Any takeaways for yourself from our time together tonight? What came up for you? A thought? Are you curious? Where there's some concerns, or maybe nothing, or maybe a little resistance. I think I'm all right. I ain't stuck. Whatever it may be. Spend some time in reflection, because we do that around here, Maybe nothing came up now, and maybe nothing won't, but just taking a moment for yourself, with yourself, to yourself, and asking the question, is there a piece of me that needs my attention today? And if so, can I embrace every piece of me, that piece and any other piece or part of myself? Why? Integrating every piece of me, because I matter, they matter, and I can be fit and entire, fully equipped to move through this shift and the next shift. And as I am becoming exactly who God created me to be, I can show up in my fullness, because I've cared for myself, and I'm equipped, and I'm ready to let others know too. Hey, every piece of you matters. How do I know? I'll tell you. All right, this is our time for tonight. If you'll join me on next week, next Wednesday, I'll be here. We'll talk about care and compassion in transition, in the shift. So again, like, share, hit that little bell after you subscribe so you can receive notices when I appear. Sometimes I'm earlier, but tonight it's a little bit late. But I'm here, and I'm glad you are too. So just one last reminder. Hey, every piece of you matters. And if you will just take some time to be curious, right? And to gain some clarity about what part of you needs your attention, you will. So that's it for tonight. I'll see you next Wednesday right here on Every Piece of Me Matters.